I'm intrigued that my whole working life has been involved with people's stories, from the early days on This Day Tonight and Four Corners, through the search for meaning, right up to today with Australian Story. Each program I've worked on has led unexpectedly, but logically enough, to the next. And now I know what gave me a passion for this particular direction. Sometimes a person says to me, "I love Australian Story." Of course, I don't have a story. I'm just a mother or just an unemployed tradesman. Where do you find all those interesting people? That question always resonates with me because there have been times when I too did not think I had a story. Such lack of conviction can lead all too readily to low self-esteem, even to despair and beyond. Everyone has a story. That story carries our framework of meaning. We need to see meaning in what we do and what happens to us. Each story is unique. In a just and humane society, there should be room for everyone's story to be told and to be heard. No one else can live my story. I must commit myself to living it to the full. And that's what lies at the heart of this recording. It's intended as an encouragement. From meeting and listening to so many people in the course of my life, I'm convinced that companionship and encouragement are basic necessities. I know I need them myself. Ever since the recording of An Authentic Life was published, I've been reassured and enlightened by letters from listeners. Each one was a matter of wonder to me. I was so pleased that what I'd tried to express was useful to other people. A chaplain at a women's prison wrote that she'd recommended An Authentic Life to an inmate whom she described as a lively character, well able to think deeply about life. Her letter went on, "One day this prisoner verbally abused an officer. She was locked in her cell for 24 hours. The next day she told me, 'That was the best 24 hours I've spent here. I really got into that book.'" Another woman wrote that with each chapter she became more aware of herself and her own journey. She'd enrolled in a life story writing course and embarked on the soul-searching needed to put it all down on paper. Others wrote that they'd taken up the idea of keeping a scrapbook or journal. An older man wrote, "You've made me look back over my whole life. I see now that it's been wonderful. I'm writing it down for my grandchildren." Some readers and listeners formed Authentic Life discussion groups. 7 women in central Queensland who'd been acquainted for years met regularly to talk about books, but they only knew bits of each other's personal stories. An Authentic Life was nominated for discussion, and after reading the book or listening to it individually, they got together for their next meeting. This involved hours of travelling from their widely separated cattle properties. They talked from 11 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, had lunch, drank jugs and jugs of water and a little wine, and shared their lives. From a number of readers and listeners, I was touched to receive something sacred. A man who lives in a little flat, hemmed in by rooftops and next door's clothes hoist, sent me a photo he had taken of a rainbow, which appeared briefly in his tiny glimpse of sky view. After listening to the section on grace, a 32-year-old sent me 4 magnificent pages of things she's grateful for, including her warm bed, colours, the library, and horses with wind in their manes. I was rewarded over and over by letters telling me that An Authentic Life had been a good companion during a listener's period of illness or anguish. A 20-year-old, who for years had been sick to the point of despair, wrote that now, instead of complaining in her journal, "I'm miserable and life is terrible," she was constructively exploring her life and getting a new sense of her value as a person. Looking at the 2005 Australian of the Year, Dr. Fiona Wood, on television on Australia Day, surrounded by her excited, laughing family, I was reminded of the wise saying that the best way to produce happy children is to be happy yourself. It's easy to say, But how do you do it? Dr. Fiona Wood is a West Australian, a wife and mother of 6 children, and a medical scientist and surgeon, best known for her spray-on skin treatment for burns patients from the Bali bombs. As a doctor, she's faced every day with extreme suffering. Her response is to do something about it, to improve burn care, working towards ensuring that the quality of the scar is worth the pain of survival. Receiving the award, Fiona Wood said, "I'm proud to be an Australian and will work towards a society dependent on the integrity of each and every one of us, because every drop in the ocean does make a difference." She gave an example that challenged me. Say someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer. I have a choice. I can just say, "I don't know," or I can say, "I don't know, but let's find someone who does." That way, we both learn something new. Dr. Wood says that each small decision a person makes is significant, that every encounter matters, that anyone can build a worthwhile, successful life step by step in the apparent ordinariness of every day, that it's a matter of personal choice. That idea gives me a sense of optimism and possibility. Since this recording was first published in 1998, we've experienced a series of momentous world events. Some were exciting, like the Sydney Olympics 2000. Others have been appalling, like the 11th of September 2001 attacks in New York, the Bali bombings on 12th of October 2002, the war in Iraq beginning in March 2003, continuing conflict, hunger and epidemic illness in Africa, and the devastating tsunami in the Indian Ocean on Boxing Day 2004. Although at times overwhelmed by the horror and scale of such events, we do our best to help where we can. Yet through all these globally significant happenings, what absorbs each of us most is our own everyday life, with its many hurdles and opportunities. We try to make sense of what happens to us and to respond with integrity and courage. As well as doing the right thing, most people want to make the very best of the gift of life, for themselves, for family, friends, and for others not so fortunate. And we'd like to know that we are understood by someone else, even important to someone else. And underneath that, again, is a desire for peace of mind, for reassurance that we matter, that we're doing our best, and that life is worth living. What you'll hear on these CDs grew out of my own search for meaning. I make no claim to have all the answers, but I am engrossed by the questions, and I continue to search for meaning myself. An authentic life is a testimony to what I've found to be true, and to the questions that still await answers. I offer it to you as a companion to your own search for meaning, and I hope you'll find something of value for you as you listen and reflect on your life.